Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Allahumma inna nas'aluka ilman nafi'a wa rizqan tayyiba wa amalan mutaqabbala. Allahumma faqihna fi din wa allimna ta'wil ya Rabbil alameen. Alhamdulillah, yesterday we started Kitabul Janaiz, the book of funerals, and we explained how the body should be washed and what are the first things that are done to a human body when the soul comes out of the body, when it dies. And we mentioned that there are a few things that we do to a dead body, the first things that we do. And of them is that we close the eyes, as the Prophet ﷺ used to close the eyes of the dead when they passed away. Also, we tie the mouth, and that is so that we put a cloth from the chin to the top of the head, so that nothing will come into the mouth of the person that has passed away. And we also put something heavy on their stomach. We mentioned that we put something heavy on the stomach so that their belly and their body does not inflate and becomes inflated. Right, these are the first things. And then we mentioned the way how to wash the body in detail, and the method, exactly what to do in terms of washing the body and then making wudu and then doing the washing it multiple times, 5 times, up to 7 times if needed, etc. After all of that, the author, rahimahullah, Ibn Qudamah, may Allah have mercy upon him, he says shrouding. So he talks about how to shroud the body. And shrouding is clothing the body after it is being washed. So the first part is washing it. And once we finish the washing of the body, we need to shroud it. We need to clothe the body. And there's a specific way that we do this. And this prepares the body to go into the grave. So he says, rahimahullah, ثُمَّ يُكَفِّنُ فِي ثَلَاثَةِ أَثْوَابٍ بَيْضٍ لَيْسَ فِيهَا قَمِيصٌ وَلَا عِمَامَةٌ. He says, rahimahullah, and he's talking about how we shroud the man. Right? So he says, then he should be shrouded in 3 white garments, none of which is a qamis, is a shirt, is a long shirt that is fitted on the body. وَلَا عِمَامَةٌ, and not a turban. Right? So there are three cloths that are wrapped around for a man. يُدْرَجُ فِيهَا إِدْرَاجًا. He should be wrapped around these sheets in a very wrapped form. وَإِنْ كُفِّنَ فِي قَمِيصٍ وَإِزَارٍ وَلِفَافَ فَلَا بَأْسٍ. And if he's shrouded in a long shirt or an izar, and shrouded an izar and a shroud, then there is no harm. So if he's shrouded with a shirt or an izar and a shroud, and one big shroud after that, then there's no harm. However, the best thing, istihbaban, from the Sunnah, is to use three shrouds, as we mentioned above. So this is how the male should be shrouded. Using 3 shrouds, he should be shrouded with 3 pieces of clothing, 3 pieces of cloth that is wrapped around. وَتُكَفِّنُ الْمَرْأَةُ فِي خَمْسَةِ أَثْوَابٍ. And the woman is shrouded with 5 pieces of cloths. Number 1, في درع مقنعة وإزار ولفافتين. Number 1 is a dress, so a cover that covers her, something that will cover from her head all the way down. So something that is bigger than a normal head cover. So that will cover her head. So a head cover. Number 2 is a dress, an izar, and 2 shrouds. So 5 pieces of clothing in total. So a dress like a qamis, a dress that she will fit in, and then something that will cover from her head all the way down, like a head cover, like a khimar or a scarf, and then an izar, and then 2 shrouds. And that is how the lady or the women are shrouded. And this is what the Prophet ﷺ gave them to shroud his daughter Kulthum when she passed away, rahimahullah. The Prophet ﷺ also said from the Sunnah of shrouding the dead is using white cloth, as the Prophet ﷺ said, ألبسوا من ثيابكم البيضة فإنها من خير ثيابكم وكفنوا فيها موتاكم. He says sallallahu alaihi wasallam, wear white clothing, for it is of the best of clothing, and enshroud your dead in them. This is narrated by Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu. Then he rahimahullah, he goes on to talk about who should wash the body, who should bury the body, and who should pray the janazah, and who should bury the body. So who has the most haqq, the most right to perform these duties for the dead? So he, rahimahullah, will end off with this chapter, inshallah. He says, وَأَحَقُّ النَّاسُ بِغَسْلِهِ وَصَلَاةِ عَلَيْهِ وَدَفْنِهِ وَصِيَّةُ فِي ذَلِكَ. And the most entitled, the person that has the most rights to wash him, to pray, and to bury him is the one who is his wasiyah, the one who he has appointed to do so. So the wasiyah is a person that the deceased has appointed to do these tasks, right? So and this is usually left in his will. So if a person has a wasiyah, a person appointed in his will, he says, for example, I want my brother, or I want my friend, or I want fulan to do ghusl on my body, and I want this one to lead the salah, and I want this one to do the janazah. Then these are the ones who are ahaqqun nas bihadhi. They are the ones that are most entitled for those jobs. And then after that, if they are not available, or if if he has not left a wasiyah in his will, then the author rahimahullah, he goes on and he has a list of those who are ahaq. He says, ثم الأب ثم الجد ثم الأقرب فالأقرب من العصبات. Then he says, then the father, then the father's father, the grandfather, ثم الأقرب, then the close one, the one that's closest to him, and the closest to him, من العصبات, from those that will inherit of his kin. So for example, if his father, he doesn't have a father that is in the area or the vicinity where when he's getting buried, or his father passed away, then it goes to his grandfather. If his grandfather is not alive, then it goes to the closest of his kin, and that will be, for example, his son. And if he does not have a son, then his brother, and so on and so forth. And you'll find the list of the asabat in the chapter of Fara'id. وَأَوْلَى النَّاسُ بِغَسْلِ الْمَرْأَةِ الْأُمُّ ثُمَّ الْجَدَّةِ ثُمَّ الْأَقْرَبُ فَالْأَقْرَبُ مِنْ نِسَائِهَا. And then he says, rahimahullah, he says, for the woman, the most entitled to wash her is her mother, and then her grandmother, and then the closest of the kin from the woman relatives. So number one is her mother, then her grandmother, and then if they are not available, then the closest of her female relatives. Then he rahimahullah, he says, إِلَّا أَنَّ الْأَمِيرَ يُقَدِّمُ فِي الصَّلَاةِ عَلَى الْأَبِّ وَمَنْ بَعْدَهُ. Except the Amir, the one that is the governor or the Imam of the masjid, he is given preference for the prayer of the janazah over the father and those that are after him. So here, one important thing to note here is that the order is al-wasi, the one who he is appointed to do the janazah. Then it will be given to the order will be given to the imam to pray the janazah. And if the imam is not there, or if he allows, then the father, and then it goes to the relatives, right? But the imam will come before the father and before all of the relatives, because the imam is in that position where there is a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said that no one should lead the prayer in the presence of the imam unless he of course allows it, right? Unless he allows it. And inshallah, we'll end here today. Tomorrow, or the next class, we'll talk about, we'll discuss the Janazah, Salatul Janazah, how to pray the actual Salatul Janazah in the detailed description from the Sunnah, inshallah. Sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.